All right, everyone. So today's lesson is going to be about the modals. So we've got many kinds of modals, and we've got some characteristics for them. So we'll get to discuss this for today. So the characteristics of modal verbs. So the first thing you need to know is that uh, they never change their form. So whether you're using the pronoun I or he or you, so they don't change. So when I say I must, he must as well. So we don't add s, ed for the past or ing. So we don't do that with the modal verbs. So the second thing you need to know is the modal verbs, all of them, they are followed by a bare infinitive, which is the base form of a verb. And thirdly, so they indicate certainty, probability, willingness, obligation, necessity, or ability. So today we're going to discuss something like should and shouldn't. So we use should and shouldn't to talk about advice. If you want to give someone advice, if you want to ask for advice, if you want to advise someone not to do something. So, and also we use them to talk about suggestions. So if you need to suggest something for someone to do, so you use should as well. So as an example here, we've got you should work hard. You shouldn't get up late. So that's affirmative, you should work hard, and the negative is you shouldn't get up late. As for a question, so you can ask a question. You can ask someone's advice saying, what should I do to do something, or as an example here, so it says, what should I do to keep fit? Also, you can use all the modal verbs, not just should and shouldn't, in the passive form. So when I tell you your essay should be revised, so that's my advice for you, that you need to revise your essay. So should and shouldn't, we use them for advice and making suggestions. Also, we have got some other expressions that we use instead of should or shouldn't. So as for should, you can use ought to. So when I tell you, you ought to revise your essay, it's the same as you should revise your essay. It's better to. I advise you to. It's advisable to. My advice to you is to. You had better do something, and this one is followed by infinitive. It doesn't take to. And also if conditionals, the second one. So we use a second conditional for expressing advice as well. So if I say, if I were you, I would do something. So that's my advice to you. Or if I were in your position, I would do that thing. As for shouldn't, so all of them the same in a negative form. So you ought not to. And I want you to notice that not comes before, just before to. Okay. And the first one you can say oughtn't to. For the second one, you say it's better not to. And also please note that we don't say it isn't better to. So that's a different expression with different meaning. So, but to use it for advising someone not to do something, so you say it's better not to, or I advise you not to. Also, we say it's advisable not to. My advice to you is not to. You had better not do something, so you had better not sleep late. So that's my advice to you, not sleep late. If I were you, I wouldn't do that thing. So the only two expressions here that we can use contraction with them, so the first one and the last one, so oughtn't or wouldn't, and the rest of them you need to put not separately as it is. Now we've got must. We use must to express different things. So first of all, we use must to express inner obligation. So what does it mean, inner obligation? Inner obligation is an obligation that you put on yourself or we put on ourselves. So it's coming from inside of you. And also, if things that are obligated by law, so we use must with it as well. Yes, for everyone in the whole country. Also, we use must for a strong invitation. So let's take examples on these first. So if I say something like inner obligation, so the first example here we've got, I must remember to send a birthday card to my dad. So no one did this obligation on you, but you did it on yourself. So you're telling yourself that it's a must doing that thing. So I say I must remember to send a birthday card to my dad. Second one is an example for using must for law. When I say when you drive you must wear a seatbelt, so that's by law, so it's obligation by law. Third example is a strong invitation. When I say you must come and try mom's food, or if I'm talking to someone abroad, so I tell them when you visit Egypt you must come and see me. We've got a very exciting party, so you must come. So these are all called strong invitations. But please note that we use must for strong invitation in a friendly way. So you cannot use it in a formal way. So this is a kind of informal talking, using must for a strong invitation or a strong advice or recommendation as well. So if I'm advising a friend, so I can say that, oh, you look ill, you must see a doctor. So that's a friendly expression, it's not a formal one. Also, we use it for a strong recommendation, so it's the same as should, but this is a strong one and in a friendly way as well. So you must try this cake, it's excellent. Okay, so I'm recommending you to try this cake. And also we use it in the passive form, so we say rules must be followed in a passive form. And also we can use it in a question, so you can say must I wear a seatbelt? So we use it in different forms. Here we have to or has to. So this one changes from the pronouns. So we use have to with I, you, we, they, and has to we use it with he, she, it. So we use have to and has to with outer obligation. So outer obligation here is different from inner obligation, which we use with must. Outer obligation is the obligation is coming from outside. So when I say you have to come to school in uniform, so you have to come to school in uniform here. and this obligation is from the school administration. She has to take 2 trains and a bus to get to work every day. So that's the conditions of her living and work. So obligation here is coming from outside. She doesn't do that by herself. We can use it in a question as well. So I can say, what time do you have to start work? So that's talking about your company or institute. And also we can use it in the passive form. We can say your homework has to be handed in by next Monday. So that's a passive one. So which means you have to hand in your homework by next Monday. So that's from a teacher to his students. To make things clear for you, so this is the difference between must and have to or has to. Look at this example here. I must stop smoking and I have to stop smoking. So what's the difference in meaning between these two sentences? I told you we use must for inner obligation. So when I say I must stop smoking, so that means internal obligation, so that's what I need. And if I say I have to stop smoking, so this is doctor's orders. So the obligation here is coming from someone else, not yourself. So I must stop smoking. So the obligation can come from the speaker or the listener to himself. I have to stop smoking. So the obligation here comes from outside, not from the speaker. So I hope it's clear now, the difference between must and have to or has to. Now we've got had to. Had to is the past of must, have to, or has to. So we use must and have to and has to in the present or the future. But if we want to talk about a past obligation or a past strong advice or whatever, so we use had to for all of them. So if I say I must stop smoking, which is internal, if I use it in the past, so I say I had to stop smoking. If I say I have to stop smoking, which is external obligation coming from the doctor, so if I want to put it in the past, so I say I had to stop smoking. So here, as an example, I must remember to send a birthday card to my dad. We already used that example before. The past of it is I had to remember to send a birthday card to my dad like yesterday. And also, she has to take 2 trains and a bus to get to work every day. So that's outer obligation coming from the conditions around her. So in the past, we use she had to take 2 trains and a bus to get to work yesterday. So I used yesterday here to express the past. Next, don't have to or doesn't have to has got a different expression. It's not the negative of have to or has to. So we use the modals in different ways. So you need to understand that don't have to and doesn't have to is different from have to or has to. As for this one here, it looks quite ordinary. So to say don't have to or doesn't have to, we use it for lack of obligation or lack of necessity. So something that you don't have to do it means that it's up to you. You can do it or not, but it's all up to you. You're free to do weather choices. So as an example here, we say we don't have to get up early on holidays. So if it's Friday, so it's up to me to get up early or late. So there's no obligation, there is a lack of obligation here, there's a lack of necessity. I don't have to do that at all. Second one, she doesn't have to come to the meeting if she doesn't want to. So that's all up to her. If she wants to come, she can. If she doesn't, she can stay at home as well. So uniforms don't have to be worn in school in Italy. So in Italy, school uniforms are not obligatory. So students can go to school whether with wearing uniform or not. And the past form of don't have to or doesn't have to is didn't have to. So like I didn't have to get up early yesterday. So yesterday was Friday and I didn't have to get up early. Well, so right now we have need to. And we use need to express necessity. Okay, so in the present we use need to or needs to. So here also with need to we add s if we're talking about he or she or it. Or another expression to express necessity in the present, we use it's necessary for someone to do something. So like here, I need to go to bed earlier, so that's necessary for me to do that. The past form of need to is needed to. Or we say another expression for it, it was necessary for someone to do something. So, also, for the lack of necessity, expressions like don't or doesn't need to are used. So, I don't have to get up early tomorrow. So, as we said, we use for the present and the future together. Or it isn't necessary for someone to do something. So you don't need to do that on your own, so we can share that together. The past. Past is very important, and I want you to note something different here. So when we say didn't need to, so this is normal. So if we want to make this sentence in the past, you say you didn't need to do that on your own. And this one is slightly different, which is needn't have and the past participle. So this is slightly different from the rest of the modals, because in this one here we use a past participle of the main verb. So as an example here, it says you needn't have bought cheese, we have much. So what does that mean? So that means you you didn't need to do that. So, and finally, we have prohibition. Prohibition means something that you're not allowed to do. So we've got mustn't here. When I say you mustn't park here, so that means it's not allowed. And we've got a lot of other expressions to express prohibition. So we say if someone is not allowed to do something, so it's the same meaning as mustn't. If someone is not permitted to do that, so you don't have a permission for doing that thing. If someone is forbidden from doing something, so you are forbidden from parking here. So this one uses ing form of a verb or a gerund. If I say it's against the law to do something, it's banned to do something, it's prohibited to do something, or it's illegal to do that thing. So these are all other expressions with the same meaning as mustn't. So mustn't here is used for prohibition and it's followed by infinitive as well. Alright, so it's time to solve some exercise on the modals or what we have just explained. So here we've got 32 questions on slides that will be shown on your screen. I will just solve the first 2 questions and leave the rest of you of the exercise for you to solve as practice for you. So if you're not sure about any of your answers, so you can just leave a comment with your answers and I will check that for you, or you can send your answers to me via WhatsApp as well. So the first one, vegetables should before you cook them. So this is just a question which is testing your knowledge about how to form a passive using a modal. So the answer of the first question is going to be B, which is be washed. And the second one here, it's an easy one as well. So it says, you must your mother with the housework. So it's an easy one. We just use the infinitive, which is help. So please, the rest of exercise will be shown on your screen right now. So try to solve it. If you're stuck in anything, please leave a comment with your question. Thank you and see you in the next lesson. Thank you.